In this video, I'm going to show you how compression works and how I've EQ'd a vocal. I've downloaded a completely dry vocal from Splice and I've built my own track around it. I'll be taking you through my signal chain, how I've EQ'd, how I've compressed, and how I've added some simple effects. I'm also going to show you how I've integrated the launch key in my setup perfectly, using it to adjust my EQ and other effects. So let's jump in. I'm going to show you the song and dissect the signal chain. Here's the vocals completely dry. I'm going to activate each plugin one by one so you can hear the differences they make. I'll be using the Focusrite Red 3 compressor, which comes bundled with the Scala interfaces. You can download this compressor along with other great content from your Focusrite account. Compression is a tool we use to make the volume of a signal more even and consistent. Sometimes, if you don't compress, parts of an audio signal could sound too loud and others too quiet, like this.
Complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but every time I try to up and walk away, you come around and start to love me better. Why do you gotta over?
The objective is to bring the loudest and quietest parts of an audio signal closer together, like this.
Complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but every time I try to up and walk away, you come around and start to love me better. Why do you gotta over?
The threshold is a volume that you set. It determines when the compressor kicks in. For example, -30 dB. Once the signal exceeds the threshold, it starts to get turned down.
Complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but every time I try to up and walk away.
On any compressor, you'll see values like 2:1, 4:1, and so on. This is ratio, where you can determine how much the signal gets turned down. Using 2:1 as an example, it means that once a signal coming into a compressor exceeds the threshold by 2 dB, it will reduce by half.
Complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but
Another example of 2:1 ratio can be, if the signal exceeds the threshold by 8 dB, it will be turned down by 4 dB. Compression reduces the overall level of an audio signal, resulting in a quieter version of the original. Makeup gain compensates for any gain lost during the compression process. As a result of compression, you can see that the loudest parts and quietest parts are now closer together. The final step is to raise the overall volume using makeup gain.
complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but
The attack determines in milliseconds at what speed the compressor activates after the signal exceeds the threshold. For example, a slow attack time will allow for the beginning of a signal to pass through untouched before the signal starts being reduced by the compressor.
complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but
Whereas a fast attack time means that it will act on the signal quickly once it exceeds the threshold.
complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but
The release time controls how long it takes in milliseconds for the compression to stop acting on your signal once it drops below the threshold. For example, a fast release time means that the compression quickly stops acting on the signal after it drops below the threshold.
complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but
Whereas a slow release time means that the compression stops acting on the signal slowly after it drops below the threshold.
complicated. I shouldn't ever have to feel this way, but
here's an example of different compression settings for different vocal styles. These simple guidelines should help you find a starting point for compressing your vocals, but remember to adjust the settings on your compressor on a case-by-case basis. Now moving on to the EQ. EQ helps us sculpt audio signals that vary in frequency content over time. The name suggests that when you EQ, you are balancing and making things equal. I'm going to be using our Focusrite Fast EQ. I'll start off by changing the gain. I like starting off at -0.5, acting almost like a limiter for when I adjust the highs. As you can see, I've already applied a high pass to the EQ. This is to avoid any unwanted low frequencies. I'm going to scoop the mid-range somewhere between 300 and 500. This allows the vocals to easily sit in the mix without interfering with any other elements. Now remember how I wanted the attack on the compressor to really stick out? To help enhance that, I'm going to boost the high mid somewhere around 4 to 5k. Now I'm going to add some high shelf to the vocal. This is going to bring out some presence and add some width. I'm pretty happy with that. One of my favourite things about the Launch Key Mark III is the fact that I can level all of my tracks out at the same time as EQing them. Now that we've enhanced the vocals with some compression and EQ, it's time to add some flavour. Let's have a listen to it again. I'm already noticing that it needs to sit better in the mix. Chorus, when used subtly, can help add width and help the vocal blend with the track. Making sure you've opened your audio effects, select chorus and then chorus.adv. Let's hear what it sounds like. Now straight away you can tell that's a lot of chorus, so I'm going to head over to the Dry V wet knob where I'll adjust it to 50% and bring it down from there. I'm really happy with that. It's given it some depth and shimmer. Now let's add some delay. Go back to the audio effects panel, select delay and then clean delay, where we'll be using a simple dotted 8th note delay. Let's have a listen. That's already way too much, so I'm going to start off by bringing it down a touch and we'll go from there. Now I'm going to solo it to hear how heavy the delay is. And then bring the track back in to hear what it sounds like with it. And there we have it. We've gone through how to use the different components within compression, an example of how I've EQ'd my song, and how some effects can help bring a vocal to life.